What is knowledge?
What is knowledge? Let's talk about it. What is knowledge?
What is knowledge to you?
Man, it's interesting because you just brought up intellectual humility.
Phails at philosophy.
And I think knowledge and intellectual humility go hand in hand because knowledge changes all the time, right? Our understanding of what is changes through experience, new data. So knowledge is changing. It's amorphous, right? There's not that capital T truth ever, but there's a constant kind of folding in new information and trying to get the best information. We're kind of using that first one of leading a good life, which is discernment. How do we bring our best faculties to bear on discernment, on figuring out, well, what is knowledge? What is important here?
Yeah. I think in the most fundamental level, knowledge for me is awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah. And I'm sort of, because like while you were talking, I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, I also have this very pragmatic sense of knowledge. Like my initial sense usually is like knowledge is about figuring out the things you need to figure out to do the things you need to do in life.
Right.
Right. But there's a level at which that never quite satisfies because it doesn't give us any sense of what it is that we need to understand about the figuring out to help guide us in that figuring out.
Well, in the figuring out, you're probably strengthening a tool.
Right. And that
tool is awareness.
Right.
I agree with that.
And awareness of the world around us. In a kind of external knowledge.
And self.
And of ourselves in a kind of internal knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that one. What I've noticed in a lot of my interviews with people, awareness is what we're going for.
Right.
In Mary, when we were talking about balance, the Studio Satya co-owner, when we were talking about Phil Phails at balance, it was like awareness. Where am I at? With looking for intuition or like all that stuff is like awareness. And when you strengthen awareness, you're bringing in more data, baby. You're like, or you're bringing in, it's almost like you're making your eyes see different frequencies of light.
Right. No, I think that's true. It's bringing attention to the things that need attention, bringing the structures of organizing the data as it comes in.
And more fidelity.
Right, and more fidelity. And yeah, and so I think the consequence of that for me as a philosopher, again, not getting too woo-woo, because I don't think it needs to be too woo-woo, right? Like, is when I look at, for example, the Buddhist philosophical tradition, one of the strengths of that tradition is its understanding of reason, not as something to just represent on the page, but as something that we train ourselves in, like through real cognitive training and meditation, right? That regular practice of some sort of practice. Now that regular practice can be through a regular practice of reading. Reading, I mean, part of what I worry about if we increasingly go to a culture where people don't read books except for a small group of book nerds.
Yeah.
Is there's a training in awareness that comes from the act of reading in long form, right?
Yeah.
That trains you in an awareness that allows for waiting for the idea to unfold over a period of time, for having that patience, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but there are a variety of ways we can train that through practice. So I think knowledge is not just about representing the thing on the page through a series of, propositions leading to a conclusion. It's about training the cognitive faculty to be aware in certain ways that are more reliable and are better at apprehending the world in the way it is around us. Like I do have a notion of an external world, and we're trying to represent that world, but representation is not the goal. Representation is one tool within our toolbox to get to better awareness as a knower.
Yeah,
of
the question that came up for me,
because there's memory, there's cognition, there's focus, there's all sorts of things that go into that.
The question that came up for me is like, we're seeking knowledge. Mm-hmm. We're seeking greater awareness. are we seeking a consistent, continuous structure to get there? And I think the answer is we can't. With every event, with every experience, we kind of have to approach it anew, like that beginner's mindset, because you're not going to be able to, if you try to codify or say like, this is how I'm going to approach gaining knowledge.
Right.
I'm going to do it this way every time. You're going to miss out because everything is different. Like something might be a sound that you want to have knowledge about. Something might be a physical object that you want, and you can't take your physical object awareness kind of structure or numbers like your steps.
Well, and that's
you need
why
new ones all the time.
that's why I think our knowledge is also best held in community.
Because someone might have the sound
Right.
knowledge way, and some
Right.
might have.
And that's where the representation comes in, because then they can represent it to us. And for most of us, how we interact with sound, that's going to be what we need. We need that guy who's really run that path, who's really gone down that, to say, hey, after all that experience, this is the best way to approach it.
Yes,
Right?
because we're
not going to know it like that guy knows it.
tribal knowledge, but
Right.
we can trust them.
But we can trust them.
We know he's a
because
nerd in this.
We've got validation structures.
He's got certification.
Right. Yeah.
He's a certified nerd
Right.
in whatever it is, and we trust him.
Right.
I like
So,
that. So knowledge, I think we've covered knowledge.
Yeah. Figured it out.
I'm a
Never
big-
have to ask about knowledge again. What's your book?